Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I am moving to Copenhagen, as you'll be able to tell from the title of this video. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to talk a bit about the decision in general, and then we're going to talk about it from a clothes and style perspective as well. And I mean, I have pink nails right now, as you can tell, which is the first time I've had something fun like this pretty much ever since I started really doing my nails like this. And that definitely also has something to do with Copenhagen. I think it's sort of like an early conversion of a sort. So I'm gonna be moving back home really soon. Actually, I'm gonna move back at the end of the year. And if I'm being totally honest, I think the decision has been underway for a pretty long time. Ever since my dad died almost a year and a half ago. I think that's sort of like when the clock started to tick, or like the idea was sort of planted, but it was pretty subconscious at that point. And also, I love Switzerland. There's many things I love about being here, but it is also a little bit boring in some aspects, which is also why I've been going to London a lot, because that's very exciting. But, you know, I still have that feeling inside that isn't really settled. And then I've been going to Copenhagen I went for a full month in like September, October, and yeah, I could just sense it. Like, most of my friends are having children now, or have had their first child, and you know, there's not that much time for everyone. And then, you know, I both want to spend time with their kids, and then I also want to spend time with them alone, and I also have my own family to spend time with. So yeah, it's sort of like all of the things that I mean, at the end of the day really matters are going on at home. I mean, that's really not fair to say, because I've been here for a while. I also have certain roots here, but the roots you make in a new country are just a little bit different. Especially, you know, I don't have a partner, so I'm still free to, you know, go wherever I want. So I'd say it feels a little bit like the adventure is over, which I never thought I was gonna say this. I really thought I was gonna want to be here forever. But yeah, other expats actually who's gotten a little bit older, they had warned me that this day would come, and I was like, no, I don't think it will. But here it is. Yeah, you know, it was sort of like, it also is perfect with like the lease of this flat is running out. And also right now I don't have a job, and there's other things also in Denmark that sort of just makes everything align. And I've been going over this decision in my mind, like mentally, for a while, going back and forth, because there are certain things about Switzerland that I really don't want to sacrifice. But at the end of the day, you have to obviously sacrifice one or the other. And then it wasn't until I sort of like, which is a little bit embarrassing, it took me that long, but took a moment to like go within my body and then feel like what feels right. And it is just Denmark that is pulling on me. So now I've made the decision. And it's definitely the right decision, because I've been so content with it ever since. So yeah, I'm gonna move back home, and there are so many aspects about it that I'm so excited about, which also of course have nothing to do about clothes, and also things that doesn't really necessarily have anything to do with friends. I'm quite a sociable person. I like talking to people, and in Switzerland, the way they sort of like conduct themselves with strangers, I never really got around to truly liking that. Especially, I mean, we've talked about this kind of a lot on the channel as well. You know, the service industry here, and yeah, stuff like that. I'm just so excited to go back home to Denmark and have it be Danes that I'm surrounded by. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Swiss people and the way they do it. I just, you know, you haven't been able to... I haven't become less Danish necessarily from living here, but that said, I'm just so grateful for so many things about having lived here. And even though Swiss people, I think they're a bit funny in the way they handle like service and strangers and stuff like that, they are some of the kindest people and best friends you could ever wish for. So that's have been my experience, my opinion. Once you get to know people, once you make friends with the Swiss, it's very, very different. And there are so many things about how Swiss people conduct themselves in relationships and in friendships that I will be taking home with me. And I'm so grateful that I've been here, because when I go back to Denmark, it's sort of, I mean, no matter where you are, I mean, we are going to grow as a person just by like age and experiences. But when I go back home to Denmark, there are just ways of like the cultural norm of Denmark, just like there is here. I mean, no matter where you're gonna go, there are gonna be things to the culture which sort of hinders people a little bit. And yeah, just the way that the Swiss do relationships and how they handle stuff like that, I'm that has been really helpful for me to learn, and I'm excited to take that back home with me to Denmark. That said, when it comes to clothes, I mean, it probably comes as no surprise. I am so excited to go home. Yeah, you know, it's actually kind of wild that we've had this channel the entire time while I've been living in Zurich, because, you know, I've been sort of limited in terms of where to buy my clothes from, and also, yeah, what brands are available. Everything is much more expensive, and then we've also talked a little bit about this in another video, but when something is Swiss made, it's really such a stamp of approval. It really means something. It's a very marketable statement here, but I've just found that it doesn't, Swiss quality, unless it's public transportation and watches, it doesn't necessarily mean what I think it should mean. So even sometimes when I have spent a ton of money on something, because that's usually what it costs here, the quality is not necessarily on par with that, where in Denmark it feels almost like a little bit the opposite. So I mean, I'm always hesitant to talk about things like that because it's always like comparisons and weighing one thing, but that's really how my mind just categorizes things a little bit. So that is just how I'm thinking of it. I mean, you can get good in Switzerland, obviously, and bad in Denmark as well, obviously. But yeah, going home to like these like mid-range, mid-priced pieces that are still like made of quality, or like still made really high quality, and also just the sheer amount of options that I'm gonna be having at home of this range. Because, for example, when I'm in London, oh my god, you have so many options for things in London, but it's sort of like a lot of the options are not necessarily quality. So you don't necessarily get quality just because there's a lot of options. I mean, you can find anything in London, so it's not like it's not available. But yeah, it's just a little bit of like a different culture in terms of quality. But I mean, quality is just one of them, because, or one of the things, because, you know, ever since revamping my wardrobe here, obviously I have the color scheme. I'm actually kind of interested in see how that's gonna go, because I'm really excited about the color scheme. I would like to keep it like this, but Denmark, Copenhagen style has become so colorful over the years I haven't been there. We actually, I mean, that video is already like maybe 3 years old. I was already talking about that in like the Scandinavian style video. So, I mean, we'll see how that'll go. There's a lot of like cool girl aesthetic. There's a lot of like funky shapes, funky patterns, which is really not my vibe. To be honest, it wasn't really my vibe even when I was living there either. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how things like that are gonna change when I go home. Like, it's just like a friend of mine. I'm gonna ask her if I can pop the picture in here, but she like sent me a photo the other day where she's wearing like a baklava, and I'm like, yeah, that's just like what adults wear in Denmark. Like, adults will sometimes even wear like these onesies. Yeah, there's a lot of things like that are trendy, or like, yeah, trendy is the right word back home, which doubtfully I'll join in on. I doubt it. And then there's that, and then there's also the other end of the spectrum, which is that here in Zurich, you know, everything is a lot more neutral, a lot more toned down, but still like very, I mean, also of course I live in Zurich, so you should take that into consideration, because the cities are obviously also going to be a little bit different. But because it is such a finance hub, people are so well dressed. Like, people are always wearing like really nice shoes, really nice dress pants. There's a lot of like that, like, you know, the aesthetic, which is very Pinterest-esque, that like not old money, but this specific type of how to dress is how pretty much all people in Zurich dress, is how I feel it to be. Not everyone, but mostly. So because of that, that has also obviously greatly affected my style. You know, lots of boots, lots of very like polished or posh, in a sense, outfits. And it's gonna be exciting to see like what part of that is gonna sort of like go away once I go home. Like, now I'm wearing very colored meals. That's, I mean, really nothing. And then I'm also excited to go home and honestly buy like colored trainers or sneakers. It's pretty wild that I'm saying that, because I don't think I would have been saying that just like a year ago. But yeah, things are changing. I'm excited, honestly, to go home and join in on Danish style. Not necessarily all of it, but I mean, doesn't matter who you are, there are going to be things you don't like about what's trendy no matter where you are. So obviously gonna honor the parts of my style that has really become part of my style, but then yes, it'll be interesting to see which parts of my style are gonna wither away now that I'm gonna go back home. Also, you know, a big part of it is also gonna be practicality, because in Switzerland, I think Zurich people won't agree with me on this because we're so close to the south where the weather is even better, but here, to me, Swiss weather is so mild. There's really no wind. You know, it's a landlocked country, and then you have the mountains as well, so it's really wild how little wind you get here. And also when it rains in Zurich, you know, it's so mild. It just comes like dribbling from above, where in Denmark it is windy all the time, it rains all the time, and it's coming in from all angles because, you know, it's like a coastal country. In Denmark, fun fact, you can never be more than 50 kilometers away from coast because you're just surrounded by coast. And then because the country is also flat, you're just always overwhelmed with wind, and it takes water with it from the ocean. And then on top of it, you know, Danish people bike absolutely everywhere. So my wardrobe is also definitely gonna start reflecting that. Yeah, is one of the things I'm less excited about when it comes to moving, to be honest. The mild weather, and then also just the surroundings. I mean, Switzerland is so beautiful, where Denmark is just, it's so flat. It's so gray. Yeah, but that's, I mean, I'll just have to deal with that. Maybe I'll talk about it a little bit in a different video. Now that we've all agreed that this channel can be about whatever we want it to be about. So yeah, that's gonna be tough. So it means stuff like going home and getting some types of footwear, just not for every day, but some footwear which is appropriate for that type of weather, and the same with jackets, because right now here, I don't have a single jacket which is appropriate for like really harsh weather, and harsh meaning windy and cold and with rain. Like the Cuz Duffer coat, the coat that I have from Cuz, it's quite warm, but it's not even close to being rainproof. And I know because I got caught in like pretty heavy rain once with it, and it started like soaking through. So in Denmark, it certainly won't work out. In Denmark, it's really like an umbrella is not enough because the rain is coming in like this, that like, yeah, so I need to figure out something with some raincoats, and yeah, just having to start considering again like the practicality of my clothes, which again is something that I talked about in the Scandinavian video from years back. It's like all of that is usually already considered in the garments you buy in Denmark, especially from Danish brands, where it's like in Zurich, they can really sort of get away with a lot of that, because it's like the clothes doesn't really need to withstand anything. Except, of course, when it comes to hiking and hiking boots and stuff like that, then it's a little bit different. Swiss people take that very seriously. Also, their skiing gear and their skiing clothes. So, yeah, what else? And then there are also other things that I'm wondering about, like specific things within my wardrobe. I mean, you know, of course, like luxury or certain branded things are also nice to have in Denmark, but the focus there is just so much less than here in Switzerland. In Switzerland, I really feel like you don't have to be as trendy. However, a lot of things not have to be, but you know, it's more common here to have luxury items. And by luxury, I mean like the luxury items, like the Hermes bag I have, the YSL bag that I have, where I don't know that I would have felt such a need to buy, especially the YSL bag if I was back home in Denmark. I mean, I still wear it when I'm there, but for example, the Chanel that I still have from my friend, I don't even bring that with me when I go to like Copenhagen and London. I can't be bothered. So it's just looking stylish in Denmark feels a little bit less deal with like money necessarily. I mean, there are certainly also expensive things in Denmark, but it's not on that like luxury type of way where you get like a completely regular black bag, which for example the YSL is, and then you have that, but it's just a black hobo bag, but it's from YSL. Like it doesn't need to be like that in Denmark. So yeah, also the Burberry, also the ring right now, but the Hermes bracelet, just branded stuff like that. It's gonna be interesting to see how much or how little I'm going to be want to wearing that, and if there's anything of it I'm gonna want to sell. I really doubt it with the Hermes bag, because even though that is an Hermes bag, I did not buy it because it was an Hermes bag. You know, it was completely different set of standards and values that I got it from, and have a very different relationship to it. Also, I think I've worn it 500 times now. I'm filming on the phone, but I'm gonna pop it up so we can see how many times I've worn it. So yeah, that's just like my pride and glory. I don't think I'll ever want to get rid of that. And yes, just like the thought of like going shopping, and like one thing that I've had on my mind for a little bit now. I mean, these days, because I am in Switzerland, I mean, I am dressing up. I'm also wearing makeup today, even though it's actually the second time in like almost 2 weeks I've been bothered to wear makeup. Just have felt like a shift in being here, and with the things that I can be sort of like bothered to care about. I mean, again, I do dress up, but I haven't really been bothered, for example, to add anything to my wardrobe right now because I know I have to go back to Copenhagen. But one of the things that has been like on my mind is like a brown pair of dress pants. I really want a brown pair of dress pants, but I can't even be bothered to look here now, knowing that I'm going home in such a short amount of time. Because, I mean, we've talked about this as well before, but the dress pants that I've had throughout the time, the only ones that I end up really sticking with and really being happy with are the ones from Danish brands. And whether or not it's because I'm quite tall and Danish brands are maybe made to fit that, because Danes are significantly taller than Swiss people on average, or if it's just the type of style and shape that they make that is more attractive to me, just because that's how I've been raised to like the shapes of pants. I don't know, I have no clue. And then also going home to like my friends and their wardrobes. I have particularly my best friend, but also have another close friend we're gonna be wanting to wear some of their stuff as well, borrowing from each other's wardrobes. I'm so excited about that part as well. Yeah, changes are definitely coming. I'm having like a little bit of a shift in values, yes, is one of them, but also just maybe less that and just a realization of certain things, not that I didn't know before, but it's just, you know, some of the things that have sort of kept me in Switzerland, or that keeps me in Switzerland, has more to do with like myself, where a lot of the reasons that I'm going back to Copenhagen has more to do with others. And it certainly often feels like a lot of the things that sort of like matters in Switzerland, especially I would say to expats, because, you know, a lot of the time people partly come here because the pay is so good and also you pay so little in taxes, that money often tends to be what like matters here, where it certainly is not what matters in Denmark in the same way on like that societal, but like called like grouping level. As also, I mean, the taxes I'm not even gonna get into that. That was like one of the main hurdles in going back home, honestly. But yeah, I feel like now that I've sort of let go and just leaned into, okay, you know what, I'm gonna have to take all the sour with the sweet, as you would say it in Danish, and then just like letting go of the fact that letting go of that and leaning into the fact that, okay, you know, now I'm gonna go home, even with all the things that I don't necessarily like about going home. I'm just gonna have to let that go and accept that, and then sacrifice the things about Switzerland that I like so much. And then, of course, I mean, obviously I have friends here and stuff like that, so I can come like visit for weeks at a time. So it's not like I'm never gonna be back here, but my base is gonna move. And then I am also very excited to go home and getting this fixed. I mean, I've just been for a month in Denmark and I was like, you know what, no, I'm just gonna wait until I need like a full head of hair, lights, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, and some of you say that you can't really see it. It doesn't really bother you. Maybe it's also even less apparent on camera. But like when I went back home, oh, I love Danes. Like when I went back home and I talked about the hair, because obviously a lot of my friends are following me on the Naja Sierra Instagram, and they were like, yeah, it's really bad. It's really ugly. You know? Yeah, Danes, they just like, they don't wrap anything up. And I miss that. I find it so refreshing. Where Swiss people, they just don't really say anything, and English people, to them, like, usually saying what they really mean is impolite. So they don't say what they really mean. So yeah, going back home to Denmark, where like they can't keep what they mean to themselves, even if they want to. That's part of the charm for me, to be honest. So yeah, this video is not super long, but I also just wanted to give you this update. I'm gonna start making a what I wore video, because I have a collab with Vivaya coming up, so I'm gonna have to do that, talk about the shoes that they sent me. So that's definitely gonna be the next video. And then I don't really know if having like a wardrobe update makes any sense actually for this next month, because we already talked a little bit about clothes, and I haven't bought anything. This time is actually true. I literally have not bought anything since the last one. I'm actually selling a bunch of things, because yeah, things that I just have never really gotten around to selling, because selling things is such a hassle in Switzerland. But I'm doing it now, and then whatever I don't sell, obviously I'm just gonna take it home with me to Denmark and then sell it there, which there's some better options to do that there. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Have a lovely day and bye.